Hello, everyone. Welcome to Let's Talk About Big Stars. It's the summertime and it's the best time to see the Milky Way. But when you see the Milky Way, people will always say, where should I look for the Milky Way? Today, I'm going to give you a tiny, tiny help to help you to see the Milky Way. Okay, but that's a reveal. What are we going to talk about today? Oh, I forget to introduce. Hey, Chris. Sorry about that.
Hi, Rod. Hi, Rod. No problem at all. We are talking about Antares.
Okay. Yes. Okay. So, yeah. But I was just like, I was like, well, have I introduced you? No, I'm not yet. Okay. So yes, today we're going to talk about Antares. It's a very well-known fixed stars, right?
Quite
Yeah.
prominent and many labels. People put many labels on it.
Many label. You mean sometimes could be stigma?
Probably this will fit, and he belongs to a lot of groups. We will talk about this later.
Yeah,
Very
sure.
famous group, yes.
Okay, famous group. So Antares, one of the very famous star, and also is one of my favorite target for astrophotography. So later I will show you some of my photography that I took around the Antares. But before we start, let me show you a little bit about the astronomy and a little bit about astrology, and then we will go through the story, the mythology behind the Antares. So, well, the first I'm very happy to show off that one of my photo. Okay,
They're
this is my
wonderful.
photo of this is my photo of the you probably couldn't really see the Milky Way. It's just around the just above the tree. But you will see in the middle, there's a bright star that is Antares. This photo I took in May this year in Spain, in Mallorca Island. And it's one of my favorite photos because you can see the whole Scorpio constellation right above the horizon. I adore them. To be honest with you, this whole Scorpion constellation is introduced me to the sky when I start into the astrophotography. And I never forget when the first time I saw the whole Scorpio constellation in Greece. It's in the civil month in August, and then the whole Scorpio rising in the sky, and I was like, "Oh my God, it's such a huge constellation above horizon, and it's like coming toward to you." I say, no wonder the ancient people are kind of fear or scared about this gigantic creature, and give a lot
And
of story. Yeah, give a lot of story behind it.
and
Well,
and
that's
like and like sorry to interrupt you, and like
yeah.
Taurus, you don't need any fantasy to really see a Scorpio or a bull
Yeah,
in the heaven, and this is really spectacular to see. Yeah,
I
sorry for
hundred per
interrupting you.
no. I 100% agree with you. This is how we start stargazing or astrology. Like it's like use your imagination. Like you mentioned about Taurus. Yes, when you see the Taurus in the sky, especially in the winter sky, it's just rising, and it's a beautiful. It's a horn shape and the bull's face, and you say, yeah, this is a bull with his horn. And then when you Scorpio, you will not think about anything else. You
Yes,
even don't need a lot of imagination. You can see the curved tail and with the stink. And that is a beautiful image in the sky. That's why could you blame ancient people just like uh, uh, editing or talking bullshit in the sky? No. For
yeah.
them, they see a pattern. They see a pattern of the star, and they just related it to into what they see every day's life, and that is exactly a Scorpio rising is tail and with a sting. So you don't need a lot of imagination. So the Scorpion is Antares is in the Scorpion, and the later Christian will mention about it is a heart. of Scorpio, the heart of medicine. And its magnitude is just +1. It's still very bright, +1, still very bright. And its a celestial longitude and ecliptic in this year is 10 degree Sagittarius, 4 minutes. 20 years ago, 20 years ago in year 2000 is a 10 degree too, and in the 1980s, 9 degree 46. And this is for the astrologer who use the alignment, who use the ecliptic degree. That we usually want to know what zodiac degree, what ecliptic degree is this big star. Doesn't matter. We don't really care about how close it into ecliptic. Well, as a Christian will tell you, it's quite close. It's quite close. And when you see the night sky, especially now in the summer, in the summer, and you will see just right after sunset, you will see the whole Scorpio rising above the southern horizon, south horizon. Well, depend on latitude, if you are, I think if you are a little bit like the latitude is lower than Paris in the Europe, lower than Paris, you can see whole Scorpio. But if you are lucky enough, like me and Christian, we are, Münster and London, we share the same latitude. Then we couldn't see the tail. We just see the, the little bit of tail, but you couldn't see whole. But you can still see Antares. It's still quite stunning. And that's why I'm going to tell you one tip. Okay, Milky Way is right behind Antares. Milky Way is right behind Antares. So now if you're going out and see the dark sky and you will see the face south, you will see a bright star. That's Antares, and behind it is a Milky Way. And don't never doubt yourself. You say something, if you are around the city or suburban, you will see the sun like a very faint belt. That is Milky Way. Okay, the photo we took with a special camera or something, that's a long exposure, so you will see a lot of beautiful star or red color or red star cloud or something. Yeah, with our eye, you couldn't see that. You just see a very faint belt, and that is a Milky Way. Okay, well, that's just see a little bit about how the other astrologer, especially Ptolemy, Hoffman, and Robinson, how they delineate about Antares. The first, Ptolemy, say it has nature of a Mars and Jupiter. So if you are into this method, you will think about what does Mars and Jupiter do, and these two planets, when you put them together, what you can see maybe is like Mars could be like a fight or war, and Jupiter would be like a justice or like expansion. Okay, you can put them together. That's one way in the modern astrology you can use these two. But in the traditional astrology, you will think of Mars is malefic and Jupiter is nice. So these stars has a little bit like both sides. Well, according Robson, yes, that's what you say. Yeah, it's destructive and broad-mindedness. So and it's like and dangerous of fatality and makes native rash. So it's like a very brave, very broad, and just like always rush into something headstrong. So once they decide something, going to do something, it will just stick with it. It's very Scorpio meaning. But what Elizabeth everything mentioned about is quite interesting, because she mentioned about is an important star for a military person. Okay, so and also is kind of when it's very very brave, courageous, and it's kind of a daredevil. So you always see that kind of Mars quality in the astrology, in the planet Mars quality about fight, about brave, about competitive. But I'm wondering about all the military things and fighting things. We can see this one from the Marcus Manilius, the Astronomica, at 1 century, talking about what we say the Antares, because it's kind of a his word is talking about uh, the people with the Scorpio influence and the Antares influence are kind of they enjoy the fight. They enjoy the fight, they enjoy the argument, and no matter what, they want to fight with no reason. They want to fight with no reason. So it is very interesting, this, I think, because when you see the star, you notice Antares is kind of a reddish stars, and it's like when you see the Mars, they are similar. So that's why, Christian, is that why in the mythology or in the astrology, we usually compare Mars and Antares?
Yes, there's one hypothesis. I hope you understand what I mean. That
Yeah.
derives from this comparing these two celestial bodies.
Mm.
Okay, I try to share my slide, and here you are. Rod, you talked a lot about the astronomical things.
Mm.
And I just want to add, it's the 16th brightest star in the sky, and
Wow.
it is here it is in the Scorpion, and it's a red supergiant and about
Mm-hmm.
100,000, 10,000 times brighter than the sun.
Wow.
And yeah, it's can't imagine this size.
Mm.
Antares is about 12 million years old and nearing the end of its life, and it will explode as a supernova in a few million years. So it is one of the 4 first magnitude stars that is located within 5 degrees of the ecliptic, like Spica and
Mm-hmm.
Regulus and Aldebaran.
Mm-hmm.
And it can therefore be occulted by the moon and by Venus. And
Mm.
the last occultation of Antares by Venus was on the 17th of September, 525 BCE. So it's quite a while ago. And
Yeah.
it was occulted by the moon on the 31st July 2009. That's very recent. And the next
Yeah.
one, occultation with the moon, will take place on November the 17th in 2400. So we have a bit time. And as you said, the name is derived from ancient Greek, probably derived from ancient Greek, and meaning similar to Mars because of its resemblance to Mars. So both
Mm-hmm.
celestial bodies have a similar reddish color, as you said, and are similarly bright. And both are easy to confuse as they are very close to the ecliptic, as we will see. Antares marked the autumn equinox, so meaning 0 degrees Libra in 3052 BCE, and the scorpion with its red sparkling heart was one of the symbols of life and death for the Egyptians, and the scorpion pointed the way to the underworld. And in Egypt, Antares was a symbol of the scorpion goddess Serket, and her main task was to protect the souls from the dead. And in the Euphrates region, Antares was known as the Lord of the Seeds, or as the Purple Star. And to the Persians, Antares was the god of the dead, called Jamshid. Probably I pronounced it wrong, therefore I wrote it down. And his
Mm-hmm.
other name was Yima. Antares is one of the 15 so-called Bohemian fixed stars from the book from Agrippa of Nettesheim, and he wrote that these 15 fixed stars are quite good for magical purposes and to build talismans and this kind of things. And Antares is also, as most of you will know, one of the so-called 4 royal stars of Persia.
Yeah.
As you said before, it belongs to many prominent groups, and the so-called royal stars of Persia are nothing else than a French invention of the 18th century. So it has nothing to do with mysterious Persian astrologers 5,000 BC. Someone in 7075, I think, has simply made up the whole story with the Persian astrologers and Aldebaran and Fomalhaut and Regulus and Antares, 4 royal stars, so-called 4 royal stars.
Sorry, interrupt.
Yeah.
This give me some idea. You know what? By the end of this session, we're going to invent something.
Yeah, but
maybe in the future.
Yeah, but as you see in the picture, they are placed quite prominently. So there is something special about these 4 stars.
Okay.
And probably we made a modern myth, or this guy, I don't speak French, so I can't pronounce his name correctly. This guy in 75 created a modern myth, and we all know everywhere on the internet they talk about the royal stars of Persia. So it's probably we make it true. Who knows?
Yeah.
According to Bernadette Brady, each of these 4 stars, these so-called royal stars of Persia, seems to symbolize a challenge or a temptation or a nemesis through which the individual must work through before true success can be achieved. And one often stands in one's own way in achieving this success. And Antares therefore points to great success, worldly or otherwise, that comes from a clear focus on what is important. I think focus is a good keyword for Antares. And this focus can come through a passionate dedication or by exploring what is happening beneath the surface, behind the scenes. But also success that comes after a personal transformative journey into threshold territories through a purifying parish and becoming
wow.
The nemesis of Antares is that one gets too caught up in the passion and drama and unconditional pursuit of the object. So one can lose sight of the actual cause, motivation, or goal. So Antares strives for intensity and can go to extremes even when circumstances do not require it. The temptation is to identify too much, to narrow down compulsively, and to get stuck too much, I think. And Antares is somewhat similar to the sirens in this regard. You know, the mythical female winged beings who symbolize mental obsession when an idea or a problem has an iron grip on one's mind. And endless loops of thought and repetition. And therefore, people who have a strong Antares often tend to want to do everything perfectly and correctly. So superficiality on any level is impossible for them. Antares' challenge and path of development is to distinguish, I think, between the trivial and the meaningful. And this passionate, intense energy should not be suppressed, but used in a focused way in the moments that matter. So not everything needs to be intense, and not everything is always a matter of life and death. So I think this is a path of development for Antares to distinguish between the tribal and the meaningful, and to use this compassionate, intense energy in moments that matter. Okay, that's me. I do unshare.
Yeah, very interesting. And I think from your presentation, we can see it's not just a fighter. It's not just the Martian energy, but that there is a kind of a dedication, there kind of passion
Yes.
behind, and that is very interesting because I always like later I will introduce some photo, and I sometimes I get my own interpretation from those the nebula behind or something. I will show you later. But before we go to the kind of exotic culture or different cultural aspect of view, could you give us a few example about some famous case who share the like either parent has an important a planet parent with Antares, or like a heliacal rising star as Antares as a heliacal rising star.
So I scanned through my database for today, and I found three interesting guys. Sorry,
Okay.
it's just guys, so it's no woman in this group. The guys I found who have a lot of Antares parents are Pablo Escobar, you know, this drug dealer, and
Uh-huh.
the second one I found is this bicycle star, Lance Armstrong. Lance Armstrong, I
Oh
was,
yes, he's very
and
famous. Yes.
yeah, very obsessed with his bicycle things. And even when he was famous, he was so focused. And later on, we know that he used, what is it called, drugs? Can you say drugs, or what is it called?
I don't know,
To
stereoed.
yeah, something like that, to achieve his goals. So getting too
Okay.
obsessed with his subject. And the third one is Vladimir Nabokov, the writer who wrote Lolita. And this
I
obsession,
don't know about I don't know about the writer, but I know about Lolita. Sorry.
yeah, I think there are really good examples about this Antares energy and when it gets over the top.
I see. Well, thank you very much. So, from this case, we can get a little bit of people probably like know the three of them, especially like Lance Armstrong, that would be like oh, you can get a little bit sense about Antares, It's not always someone get crazy going to fight or going to kill people, but they are really focused on what they want, and what they want, they really, really, obsessed with it. And sometimes they lost it, they just like,
Yes.
that is a very interesting of the influence of Antares. But today I'm going to bring you, apart from our Western view, I'm going to bring you something a little bit different. Well, and today I like to not only share the Asia view. So let me go to share the Antares view. From first, I like this because it's the Pacifician view, the Maori and the Pacifician Islanders view. Um, they call it in the Maori, and in the Maori language they call it the lehua. Lehua. In Maori astrology, this is a very important stars. And I think the first is in the mythology. Lehua is the leader of all the stars in the sky, and it's just like a fascinating
Wow.
because that, like we say, is the leading star of the Milky Way. It guided the Milky Star, all the star around the Milky Way, and then come across the sky. So it has been seen as a leader of the stars in the sky. You just like, wow. So there is a meaning. If you want to add it up, or if you want to made up, I don't think anyone has the right to say you are wrong, because it's a leader. is a leader of all the stars. Then second is very interesting as a god. I think is he give the gifts as he give birds and the fruit trees to the human being. But I just simplify the story, but the tree and the birds is from him, from the Lehua. And also, this is the name for the Maori calendar, the 8 months after the New Year. Then they observe the heliacal rising of the Lehua Antares around the January time. And then they will say, we are stepped into the 8 months of the Maori calendar. They call it the Walu or Lehua, but it means summer is, I think it's around the midsummer or something. So the fruit reaps and it's extremely hot. This is my very little knowledge about them in Maori. I think the other part of Pacific, like Tahiti, they also see as a kind of a god, a star god, and also a leader of the sky things. It's a pretty interesting in this region. And also, let me go to the Chinese view. This is very interesting. The first, this star is very bright and very important. A kind of it appear in the oracle, in the Chinese oracle, those texts from the animal bones. This is one of them. There's 2 stars we know. We can find their name from the oracle. One is the Alfred. What do we call the one in the Hydra? Alfred, right?
Alphard.
Alphard, sorry, yeah. Alphard. We call it bird star. We call it bird star. And another one is bird. We call it bird star. And that's Alphard. And then another one you can find the name in the, that is kind of probably 5,000 BCE or even before from those bones. Another star you can find the name from those oracle is Antares. We call it fire star, because it's a red color. And interesting is when I was kids, we read a lot of these kind of things, and I didn't notice they are related to astrology. Like one of the I should say in the history record, the first dynasty has the official record. It's called Dynasty Shang, and the Shang people, they also in the mid of central China. They are worship Antares as their protecting stars. So they worship big fire. They call it a big fire. They worship big fire. Their astrologer called officer of the fire. It's not looking for the real fire. No, officer of fire is officer of the fire stars. That's their name of astrologer, officer of a fire. They look, the big fire star comes out. So that's the Antares, how important in Chinese culture. And also in the ancient texts, we have the like a Persian. I don't know is that true or not in Persian, but I know in the Chinese culture, we have written down there's a 4-star mark 4 season. Antares is the star to mark summer solstice. The different ways is because in the Chinese culture, as I know, the astrologer do the observation right after sunset. So that's the mid of summer, right after sunset, you will see the fire, the big fire, the whole Antares right in the sky. So it's marked as summer solstice. And also it is very important because we know in Chinese astrology, we are not only use the 12 sign on the ecliptic, we have the 28 mentioned. And the Antares is belong to the 7 mention of dragon. We call the dragon mention. The 7 mention of dragon represent the springtime and the east. Springtime and the east. Interesting. It's also a heart in Chinese culture. In the Western culture, it's a heart of Scorpio. but in the Chinese culture is a heart of a dragon. Heart of a dragon. There is a little bit different view concept about dragon. If you don't know, Chinese people love dragon. We see dragon as an auspicious sign. It's a magic creature, but with kindness, with a dignity. That's why we call dragon represent the emperor, or dragon bring the rain and the cloud. Okay, it's different from the Western view of dragon, who give a smoke and fire and burn land and guard the treasure. A slight different view of dragon, but so this is the dragon's heart. Dragon's heart. And also very importantly in the ancient text, as I already mentioned, is the mark of summer solstice, and also this star, Antares. It's very important. Directly translated from the ancient text, they say the heart mentioned represent as a prime minister of the sky, and also known as a great stars, or another name, great fire. So it's a prime minister, but also, they don't really care. They just want to say it's important person. Apart from prime minister, another name of the Antares is the emperor of the sky. So it's part of a star could make a prediction about the emperor, because they say there are three stars. If you see the photo of Antares, you will see there's around this area there's a three-star. There's three-star between one before Antares, one behind Antares, and these three-star. So middle one is the emperor itself. On the left-hand side and the right side is his son. So one is Crown Prince, one is Crown Prince. So that's the Antares. We call it a heart mention, Xin Shu. And this is the second star of the heart mention, Xin Shu Er. One interesting, lot of Chinese people, we know Antares named the Great Fire, from the ancient literature. We always try to memorize that because we have exam to pass. And in the ancient literature, you will read that big fire, this and that, and people just like, are they mentioned about Mars? No, big fire, because it's the same word. So we call Mars star of fire, and Antares big fire. So people are confused. People are easy to get confused too. But also very interesting, because as this is a prime minister or emperor of the sky. So in the Chinese astrology, the divination is say this. It's very interesting. And everyone knows, because they say when Mars stationary near the heart mention, near Antares, it changed the ruling. So it's say the prime minister will change the ruling, the prime minister will leave his position, or the Lord will leave the court. The directly translation, Lord will leave the court, which means the emperor will be removed in whatever way. So usually when Mars stationary in the Antares in Chinese astrology view, means that would be the rebelling force, or some kind of rebelling in the court, because this area is the royal court, part of royal court. We have so many places represent royal court, but this is one of them. And so when Mars stationary here, well, it's dangerous for the prime minister, it's dangerous for king, queen, emperor. This is the Chinese view of Antares.
Well, thank you so much. This is always my favorite part when we do this. I really love this, and also the Maori thing you taught us.
Oh, I love it.
Great.
I wish I can know a little bit more about Maori. Their view of stars are fascinating. I always love, and I always try to get more, but well, I'm not in New Zealand. I don't speak Maori, so there's only limit resource for us. But there's a lot of information on internet now. So I encourage astrologer trying to dig out from the different culture, from your own culture, how they see the star, because it will inspire you. Don't worry about your interpretation is different from the other people. Come on. We are
Yes.
all allowed to give our own view of the star if that is relevant, and it is quite interesting. So I'm going to, give you a little bit, well, what people will say, maybe
Wow.
different view or something. Okay, well, this is my show of time. Yes, a Milky Way again, as I say. You will see the Antares if you see the Milky Way in the summer. So let me point out where is Antares. Here you can see still quite bright, and you see this bright star because I took it last year. So this is Venus. Last year Venus was around here in the October, and then here is Antares. You can still see very, very bright right before the Milky Way. So you can see why why Maori say is the leader of all the stars. There's a millions, billions star here, and the one leading the move, from east to west. So this is the Milky Way. I took in the Canary Island, the Tenerife, on the top of the volcano mountain called Archetypes. It's one of my favorite place to take the astrophotography, and I really love this place. Another photo I'm going to show you, you would not believe it. Anyone, let me tell you, anyone, if you have DSLR, if you have a decent DSLR camera with tripod, you can make this photo. I'm not bullshitting. You probably only need a 100 millimeter lens. So it's not a special tele lens, It's not a Canon one, a super long lens. No, 100 millimeter lens, or around this kind of 100 or 200 millimeter lens. When you point to Antares, you are able to get this photo. You are able to get this photo. This is a long exposure. What you can do is you probably take a 100 of a 5-second photo and stack them together. You will get this one. So why? Because this is a region. This is region near Antares. Where is Antares? Let me show you. Here, this one is Antares. This is a very popular target for the astrophotographer. And yes, when you find Antares, you can take photo like this. It's named for the astrophotographer. We call it raw ophiuchus and the color complex. So it's like a color plate, like you painting, you painting with the oil paint or something. You put every different color on a plate, and you try to paint something. This one here is ophiuchus area, so it has like a dark cloud also with a cool blue purple color. And because I use normal camera, if I use the beta camera, you will see this region is green. This region is a little bit slightly green. Okay, and then here is orange and blue, orange and blue, and then when you go to the Antares, is orange, and then the star below it is yellowish, and the next one is purple red. It's just so beautiful. When the
Wow.
first time,
Wow.
when the first time, this is my photo, and when first time I took this photo, and I just had my idea. To be honest, I'm not afraid about other people say you are bullshitting or you're just crazy. For me, this gives Antares a little bit meaning, but I think you more or less mentioned it. I think there is something behind Antares' passion. It's the colorful dream. Is that colorful dream? It's not just one single reason. There is a beautiful dream. There is the orange color, blue color, dark color, green color. So there is a beautiful word, that the beautiful imagination or beautiful idea behind Antares' obsession. Behind is a crazy passion. And because this is, if you use the camera, you can take photo like this of Antares. It's colorful dream. It's not just craziness. Everyone who is crazy, there's a dream behind it. That's how I want to add a little bit into the Antares because of astrophotography.
Oh, wow. Wow. Spectacular photos. Thank you.
Thank you. You're welcome because it's one of my passion. When I can really just doesn't care about anything when I start to taking photo when I look at the star because this is how star lead me into astrology because I love the sky, I love the stars,
Mm,
and I think star is telling us something. It's not just on the paper. Okay, it's not
yes.
really not just on the paper. You're Venus in Aquarius or something. No, it's also the whole sky. They tell you the story. They tell you the story. Yeah, so well, thank you everyone. Thanks for listening me and thanks Christian bring us a very interesting mythology behind the Antares. And I mean, this is a fantastic chance to to learn the fixed star. It's not just about the how what star can meaning
Yes.
in astrology, but also we can learn from the mythology and from different culture, right?
Yeah. And they are so far more than just pseudo planet combinations. It's
Yes, to
stars.
be honest. Yeah, I like it because I have a really bad memory. So if you ask me this star, what the combination of a planet is, I would I don't know. But if you tell me it's mythology, I will never forget.
Yes. Yes.
So
Yes.
maybe that's me, my personal way to approach the stars, approach the fixed stars. I couldn't really memorize the star combination, but I can remember the story. I can remember story, so I prefer to delineate, to interpret the stars from this way. Well, thanks, Christian, and thank you, everyone. This is the last episode of this month, and then next month when we will start from the discussion of the monthly transit with Marcus and Monday. So next week you will see me and Monday and Marcus. We will talk about the monthly transit in September, and me and Christian will come back end of the month, bring you the knowledge about another fixed star. Well, okay. So before that, stay in tune. Bye bye.
Bye bye.